All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another video. My name is Caitlin J. Reeds, and you know what time of the month it is. It is within the first week of the new month, which means I'm going to go over all of the books that I read in the month of September. I have a lot to say about this month, okay? I have a lot to say, but we'll get into it, all right? We'll get there. Make sure to comment down below. What's the book that impacted you this month? What's the book that impacted you the most this month? I would love to know. You'll get my answer throughout the video, all right? Subscribe, all right? I'd really appreciate it. And without any further ado, let's go on to the video. So in September, I read 7 books, all right, and 4,085 pages. I'm proud of this. A lot of the books in here were chunksters, all right, and that's kind of the reason for the lower book count. There's also a lower page count, but we'll get to why towards the end of the video, okay? But yeah, figured I'd just give those stats to you real quick before we really dive in to each and every book that I've read. First, we have The Poison Song by Jen Williams. This is the last book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy. If you're new to this channel, you don't know, but I constantly rave and gush about this book series. I adore it. I love it with all my heart and soul, all right? And nothing has changed. Was this last book my favorite? No, it was not. Bitter Twins was my favorite out of all 3. I feel like this one maybe lost some steam in the stakes, although I do adore what happened with Celefon's arc towards the end of this book. If you know, you know, you should read it. But what happens with him is so satisfying towards the end because I personally loved Celefon when he was first hatched, and I just felt so horrible for his circumstances. But anyways, this book is pretty decent. The end, I absolutely hated. And when I say the end, I don't mean the way that the plot line wrapped up. I mean the last chapter, or like the epilogue, whatever Jen considers it in this book. Let's see. It's just an epilogue, chapter 54, and I just hate the way that it ended. It felt very, I don't feel like writing another 30 pages, so I'm just going to give you like a 5-page little spark notes of what I should have given you, and that really, I didn't like that. But the rest of the trilogy as a whole is just really phenomenal. Highly recommend you read it. I gave this one like 4 stars. You know, it's a light 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars. If you want a quick synopsis about what this is about, we follow 3 characters. One of them is an Aboran. That is a race that used to have this tree god called Ixiro that would provide them with immortal sap. Their tree god has died. They are no longer immortal. They are dealing with the consequences as a race, all right? We follow a witch, all right? What we call a fell witch, okay? Shoots green fire out of her hand. She absorbs energy from the things around her, okay? Then we follow an archivist. Her in her mid-40s, you know, she's the life and the breath of the story, in my opinion. All right, her name's Vintage. And just how their paths cross, intertwine, how fate decides how these guys are meant to all be together, all right? And like I said, I enjoyed, plot-wise, the ending to this book, but something about that last chapter really threw me off, and with some other things throughout the book that weren't quite my style. It felt like this could have been, maybe this whole series could have been a series instead of a trilogy, but I digress, all right? I digress. You should read it anyways, all right? Because while it's imperfect, it is very good, okay? Then we go into a Desolation called Peace by Arkady Martin, all right? And this is the second book in the Texlan duology. This one is about first contact with aliens. We follow the same characters who are Mahit and 3 grass seafold. 3 seagrass. That's her name. We follow Mahit and 3 seagrass as they kind of have to unravel the relationship going on between the two of them, friendship relationship, other more romantic relationship, while also dealing with first contact, while also dealing with political factors going on in each of them's home, realm, ship, planet, empire, whatever you want to call it. And I just had a blast. We also follow a character called Eight Antidote. I think it's eight Antidote. I knew it. It was Eight Antidote. I didn't need to look through it. We also follow Eight Antidote, who is the kind of the heir to his throne, and he is a clone of his predecessor, and he's just kind of dealing with that mentally and what that means to him. And I just really adored this story. I liked this one more than A Memory Called Empire. I've heard people say there are zero grasp of physics on this. I don't know physics either, so I don't quite care. If that's something that would bother you, maybe don't pick it up. All right, but yeah. Desolation called Peace, and I believe I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right. The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. This is closing out my reread of the Broken Earth trilogy. I personally adore this book trilogy. It's what I've coined recently, if you've seen my last couple of videos, as sci-fi, science fantasy, not science fiction. Same thing with the text Kalan duology from previous. The Stone Sky is a sci-fi because it's fantasy, but it's science fiction, you know? It just has elements of both. Therefore, it is sci-fi. Ha! How amazing. But anyways, this is the last book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I don't want to give too much away because, like I said, this is the last book in a trilogy. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars. Not my favorite out of the trilogy. Okay, I think my favorite would probably be the 5th season. There's really no beating that opener to this trilogy. It's just phenomenal. But this is a really great book as well. I think I liked it more than the Obelisk Gate, so it would go 5th season, Stone Sky, Obelisk Gate. And they're really great. Didn't mean for it to rhyme. Anyways, okay, what this trilogy is about, we follow these beings called Origins. They are human beings, all right? These human beings called, I'm just going to start over. We follow people on the planet that we're following. I think it's Earth. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be. So they're humans, you know, and they are also origins. And what an origin is they can harness the power from the Earth around them and use it to their advantage in magical, fantastical ways. And there's lots of science based in here. So if you enjoy science, I think you'll like this, okay? I really enjoyed this. Upon reread, I loved it even more. I really probably did not have a full depth of understanding for fantasy when I read this the first time, okay? And the second time, it just was so satisfying. There was stuff I forgot, was able to be surprised the second time around too. And you should read this if you haven't already. I know some people don't really say it's for them. Oh, it's just so good, okay? So you have to pick it up and try it for yourself. But that's A Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin, 4 out of 5 stars. Then we have Hollow Kingdom by Kira Jane Buxton. This is actually a recommendation from a subscriber. Shout out to you down below. And great book recommendations. Feral Creatures is on my library loans now, which is the second book in this duology. All right, this book follows our friend ST, Shitturd, ST for short, who is a crow who was raised by a human. Okay, and we follow what happens to the animals after a human zombie apocalypse. Okay, and like I said, our friend ST is a human raised crow. So what does that mean for him? Because he doesn't have a full crow identity yet. He still identifies almost as human. And just about his story of identification, finding himself, embracing himself, and I really enjoyed that. Plus, I love birds. So hearing about their communication system and the world that they all reside in was just so fascinating to me. And I love the way the author put that together. Like, no words can describe how much I loved that part of this book. What I didn't love, okay, ST might have been owned by, like, a misogynist or, like, a bigot. He calls humans mofos, motherfuckers, as the book, as the book starts. Okay, we refer to humans as mofos. because that's what his owner did, and just some other, like, kind of bigoted, closed-minded perspectives, but I know that's the point. But I just wanted to let you know, if that's something that would, like, annoy the shit out of you, maybe don't pick it up. But if it's something, if you enjoy seeing a character like that really find themselves and become one with their identity and who they truly are and who they're meant to be, and how redefining oneself doesn't have to mean letting go of your past, read this book. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, probably more 3.75 if you look at my story graph, but it was still a really strong read. Like I said, nothing can beat, for me, the world building aspect of how all of the animals, but especially the birds, communicate with one another. That was so fascinating to me. And for that alone, I'll be picking up Feral Creatures, because I feel like this does fine as a standalone. You know, that's might just be my opinion, but I feel like it does. But I'm still going to pick up Feral Creatures. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, if you want to read this as like a standalone, I don't think you'll be in any sort of fret drama. Now we're getting into some of our chunky boys of the month. I know some people are probably like, Caitlin, you've already shown us a couple like 500 plus page books. And I'll tell you, I'll raise you one. This book is like 900 and something pages. And it's still not the longest book that I read this month. This is Swan Song by Robert McCannon. Don't know why I said it like that. I have no idea. But anyways, if you've seen last video, you do know, or like reading 1-star reviews of like really popular books. This was in it. I featured it. I had just finished reading it. I enjoyed it. Couple things I said in that video, and I'll reiterate again. This book was written in 1987. Okay, take that as what you will. All right, I will address some trigger warnings now before we get into my thoughts and feelings on the content. Okay, essay, misogyny, racism, ethnic cleansing, genocide, a lot. Honestly, it feels like a lot of that was shock value, and a lot of it was focused when you got to one of the narratives of the story for a reason. Does that justify it? You can decide. I personally think that it would have been just fine without all of that stuff added in for shock value. But that's the time they were in, 1987. Like I said, take it for what you will. But we're going into the story synopsis now. So don't you worry. She's long-winded. Fine. It's over now, okay? This is a story. We follow a couple main characters. Swan, sister. Oh, shit. What's this motherfucker's name? He sucked. Roland and Captain Macklin. Lieutenant Macklin. All right? We follow all of those characters, okay? And pretty much what this is for me is if the Cold War went nuclear and the whole world was destroyed, how resilient can humans be, both in the dark and in the light? And we follow characters on both sides of that walk, and how at the end they come together to defy destiny. I really enjoyed it. It's a thick one, but it's really, really, really good in my opinion. It's really it's a horror novel, but also an apocalyptic novel, a fantasy novel, all wrapped into one. And for that, I really appreciated this and enjoyed it. And I thought, besides all of that trigger warning stuff I mentioned in the beginning, that this book held up pretty well for being written in 1987. Pretty decently. All right, like I said, all that stuff in the beginning, I think it could do without. But besides that, I thought it was pretty strong. All right, thought it was pretty strong. So strong that I had to get a first paperback edition of like this pocket fiction paperback. So I thought the cover, it's vintage, you know, it's giving me vibes. I think it's the purples and the blues mixed with the orange, but for some reason I just needed it, you know, so I got it. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. That star is really demoted for all of that stuff I said in the beginning. It could have been a 5 out of 5. It was so close, but not quite there. Okay? Not quite there. Now we come into my mourning period of September. And you might ask, Caitlin, what do you mean mourning period? That makes no sense. You know? My mourning period. All right. I have finished my journey officially. I feel like I'm about to start fucking crying again. I've been crying about this for the past couple days, if you can't tell. It's currently October 3rd. And I've cried about this every day since I finished it, which was about a week ago. I'm not okay. Don't ask me if I am. My next video may or may not be my thoughts on this book, but it's going to be incoherent as fuck. Because that's how I feel. I feel emotionally raw, scathed, and upset, unwilling to accept the fact that he cannot explore anything deeper within the lore of these stories. Don't even get me fucking started. Is it a good conclusion? Of course. Is the last battle grand and glorious like we knew it was going to be throughout the entire series? Yes, it was. Were there many things that I thought were left unexplained? Yeah. Especially within Matt and Perrin's plot lines, okay? And I'm going to get into that more in my video, kind of talking about my thoughts and feelings on this book. But the fact that it's actually over, and I no longer have a Wheel of Time book to kind of say, oh, well, if there's nothing to read, I have Wheel of Time, or, oh my god, I'm so excited to put in my loan for the next Wheel of Time book, or, oh my god, what do you think's going to happen in the next book? There's no more of that. And there's no more Robert Jordan. And that really makes me really upset. And this book has left me very emotionally raw and literally unable to read a new book since. Every single book I've read since finishing this has been a reread. Every single one. Including the books I've started in October. Every single one. I cannot pick up a new book to save my life. Okay? I just feel gaping and raw. And like I need some time to heal after finishing this series because I wasn't ready for it to end. And I'm still not ready. I'm in denial. I'm not here to defy. I'm here to deny. I have no coherent thoughts that I can give in this video. So stay tuned for Friday when I upload the video talking all about this because I have a lot of thoughts and feelings. 4 out of 5 stars. Don't hate me. It's not a full 5 stars. And last of the month, this is why, really, another reason why we're mourning. I finished my reread of the Percy Jackson series, okay? And while I remembered loosely a lot of stuff that happens in this series, I didn't remember a whole lot, and I certainly did not remember the last book whatsoever. And I just enjoyed the fuck out of it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. The way these characters mature and grow as the books go on, impeccable. The way this book ended, impeccable. The way the prophecy panned out, beautiful. The way Percy Jackson sacrifices himself for Annabeth Chase, gorgeous. The way Nico comes to save the day with his father, iconic behavior. And Miss Rachel Dare, another fellow redheaded icon, okay? I don't have enough good things to say about this series. I really wholeheartedly believe if you haven't read this yet, and if you don't want to read it, shut up. It's so good. It's a masterpiece. It's a middle grade masterpiece. And I just love Rick Riordan. And I thank him so much for giving us the Percy Jackson world, and then giving us that expansion into depths beyond reach. And this reread was a blast, a great time. I loved it. This book was a 5 out of 5 stars for me, personally. I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it could be like my emotional vulnerability from having just finished The Wheel of Time. Then I finished this, and I was just feeling emotionally vulnerable. Okay, and maybe that's why I loved it so much, but I did. I loved it, nevertheless. And that's all I can say. 5 out of 5 stars. Thank you, Rick. And that, folks, are all the videos, all the books that I read this month. 7 books. 4,000 pages-ish. And some heartbreak later. We are in the month of October. Okay? And I'm so excited to share what I have read with you this month, next month. Okay? I hope you had a great day. Like, comment. Like I said, what book impacted you the most? Book that impacted me the most, obviously, is Memory of Light. I'm currently in a reading slump. Okay? Didn't read for 3 days. after reading that and can no longer pick up a new book. Only rereads. Fuck. That's the book that impacted me the most. All right? Subscribe. Support the channel. You know, your girl loves to do this so much. I thrive off of this. It's so much fun. And I hope you enjoy this too. Because I'm having a blast. I hope you're having a blast too. Watching me. All right? Thank you. Peace out. Peace and love. I'll see you on the flip side.